All right, I'm sorry for this lighting again. It just feels extremely off with this new room I'm in. I don't know, maybe I got to suck it up. Anyway, speak about lighting and how camera works. Let's look at Nickel Boys. Got 2 Oscar nominations for Best Adapted Screenplay as well as Best Picture. Did it deserve them? Let's find out. Chase Liaki here, the Blue Futon, reviewing Nickel Boys. What's about pretty simple premises based off a true story about the Nickel School in Florida and how there are a bunch of dead bodies, at the school grounds and what happened to the students there with abuse, mental abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, etc. And this is a story of 2 of the kids in POV shots of one guy, one of the other, and sometime you're going to get his point of view of looking at him and vice versa, and how they get along, or do they get along at this school, and what concludes with this movie. So did I like this film? Honestly, I wasn't the biggest fan of this film. Not because it wasn't directed well, not because of just things that occur in the movie. I just didn't like the style, how you wanted to tell the story, and not really giving the user a lot of information if you don't know a lot about this topic. So talk about the positives. I do think the acting's well overall in this movie. I do think there are some interesting shots and interesting things you wanted to do to show the world. I understand that you wanted to, I don't know, maybe it's not interesting. Maybe it's more unique. It felt very Babylon-ish. And what I mean by that is at the very end of Babylon, you get that, montage of, different films like Avatar, etc., etc. To me, that was like, what are we doing here? In this movie, we have shots of, the Challenger space mission, or things that are happening in the outside world that maybe these kids are missing because they're at the Nickel School. But I felt like it just felt very out of place for that style of, what you're adding into there. I understood when you're trying to add the quote-unquote evidence of what they found at these grounds into this. But then again, how it is edited into this film, I just wasn't a fan of just the overall style of this movie. Even the POV wasn't a fan. I think it would have been a better just movie if it was just, I want to say directed better, but just how we wanted to tell the story. It just wasn't my cup of tea whatsoever. And even the bar scene, when we were kind of now changing to a third-person scene, which I think we're doing it that way because, spoiler alert, it's not his real name. So we are kind of going now into what does this guy see? No, actually, I don't know. That's the only way I could think of it, because you're in this POV of the actual people, these kids being the kids. Then we changed to third person because one kid took the identity of the other. And so maybe it's not really his point of view. It's like a ghost or a presence point of view. And that's my only guess for that reasoning, especially in the bar scene. And in the bar scene is really the only scene where you kind of get the oh shit moments. Yes, you do have the imagery of going in the back room of looks like getting electrocuted or whipped. Understand that. But I understand that we also wanted to tell these 2 kids' story. But I just think there's a bigger overarching message for this school, because there's those teachers, there's the other students, the white students, the mixed race students, the black students, and things like that, of how it correlates into this story of who they actually are and what they're doing. Because even when they're going in this car with one of the teachers that shoots one of the kids, I'm just like, what is that relationship? I felt like I just didn't connect with any of these characters because of that reason. Maybe that's why it's the POV of sending these kids to the school, or, just other random shots or things that occur in this movie where I don't know how it got from point A to point B to point C. For example, maybe I missed something, and maybe just it was just all over the place for me, and I was like, okay, who are we following? But in the very beginning, he's at a school, and he's trying to get to a better school, and a teacher gives him a pamphlet of the Nickel Boys school. And then he's randomly on the school getting into this car, and the car is someone driven by someone very, probably wanted by the law. And then he's at a police station. So is he going to the school because of being in the car? Or is it because of something else of the teacher promoting the school to go there? It's just little things like that, which maybe it just didn't correlate with me with what the story was trying to do, and it just didn't work for me on that level. Again, I think the acting's pretty good. The overall cinematography of it is fun's not the right word, but it's more interesting and unique to get this point of view shots. But then again, I'm not a biggest fan of doing that. Also, when you're also changing, like if you're gonna do it, kind of stick with it and go through the whole movie with it. But when you change the third person shot, I kind of was like, okay, what's the point and why are we trying to do it that way? And then kind of going back and forth of him being a reporter to figuring that stuff out. Like I said, I felt like this Nickel Boys, you have to read the book, it feels like it, to really get the movie and what it's trying to say. Because if you knew nothing about the Nickel Boys school and you're watching this movie, to me, when the credits rolled, you get little inklings of like, oh, that's a marble in the ground. Oh, that might be someone's bracelet or, someone's body in the ground. But I don't know. I just felt like there was more to be told of how the school was set up, how all or most of these students actually got there. Why, I don't know. Maybe it just wasn't my cup of tea. It is what it is. Some people call it masterpieces, and that's okay. I'm not saying that they are wrong. I'm not saying my opinion is right or wrong. It's just my personal opinion of when I watched the movie, left the movie, and thought about it for 3 weeks. It just didn't stick with me as well as I think the makers wanted it to do. So Nickel Boys will receive a 2.5 out of 5 with Futons, which equals at 50%. So to the critics, and you scores gave this one. Critics a 90% with 183 of them. Audience score 75% with over 250. Critic consensus. Director RaMell Ross' stylistic radical approach to adapting Corlson Whitehead's searing novel will be jarring for some, but Nickel Boys' sense of immersion achieves the jaw-dropping effect of walking in another shoes. Some people are calling it a triumph. Some people are saying they didn't like how it was filmed whatsoever. It's a couple 5 out of 5s, a 4 out of 5. We got an A, 3.5 out of 5. I think most of the users like me is the 3 and 3.5 out of 5s. I was just like, yeah, it was aimless to me in my opinion. Anyway, 50, 75, 90. Chase out here at the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. One more things, Blue Futontopia. You Blue Futonians, thank you for watching. Great day. Watch us today, tomorrow, week, for a month, and a year from now, every single freaking one of you. Peace and love. Peace and love. And yeah, did you like this POV view? I